advertisement. It's based on one thing: happiness. You know what happiness is? Happiness is the smell of a new car. It's freedom from fear. It's a billboard on the side of a road that screams reassurance that whatever you're doing is okay. You are okay. Mad Men. So Sunday, Mad Men wrapped up. Last summer, I had watched all 7 seasons of Mad Men, and this year, Mad Men ended. So instead of just doing a season 7 part 2 review, I just do an entire review of the Mad Men series. So Mad Men is the show. It's set around the 1960s in New York City. So the show does go to other places than just New York. Some of the episodes take place in LA because they built an LA office. But the show is called Mad Men because people in the 1960s, people who worked at Madison Avenue, were called Mad Men because they were ad men. When I first watched the show, I thought Mad Men was going to be a show about gangsters and stuff. And then the beginner, like, this show is about advertising. I was like, what? That's kind of stupid. But the first episode hooked me. And there's one reason why. Don Draper. Don Draper is like one of the most influential characters I think I've ever seen on a television screen. He's got a very interesting story. He's so charismatic and everything about him. He seduces women so easily. He smokes like a pack of cigarettes a day. And he can talk his way out of anything. In another lifetime, Don Draper would have been a lawyer. He's so good at painting a story. And whenever you see a Don Draper pitch, it makes the whole season. My favorite moments of Mad Men was when Don Draper and the partners were getting the company was getting sold to another company. They had no choice because they sold it the year before. So they were just along for the ride. Don's like, we're in contracts, we got no choice. So he goes to Lane Price and says, fire us. Let us leave. And then they stole all the stuff and then they started a new company. And then it was a rise through the ranks of New York City's advertising company. So this is set in the 1960s. The 1960s is one of the greatest times in American history. I had taken a Cold War class, and after you move past the 1960s, it gets boring. The show, it handles so many cool events. Like, you have the Cuban Missile Crisis. You have the JFK assassination. You have the Vietnam War. You have other cool stuff, like you have the Martin Luther King Jr. assassination, and you also have the moon landing, which is like a cool event because no time in any other time in history, everyone in the world was doing one thing, watching TV as they landed on the moon. You also see all these cool styles. You see the music. You hear the Beatles reference, the Rolling Stones. One of the most powerful messages in Mad Men was actually the role of women. The role of women was increasing very much throughout the series. And that's a significant thing that happens. Because you look at history, women from the beginning of time, probably up till the 1950s, were just these people who lived in houses of men and they did whatever their men wanted them to do. And you see that in like the first 2 seasons of Mad Men. But a thing happens. Society transforms where women start working. You have 2 of the coolest characters in the show, Joan Harris and Peggy Olson. Both started out with nothing. No college, nothing at all. Peggy and Joan were secretaries. Joan, she gets her way all the way up to a partner who controlled 5% of the company. And Peggy Olson, she went from secretary to one of the best creative people at the company. The role of women kept increasing because you see all other women who weren't just secretaries. The ending of Mad Men, I really liked the ending. It gave closure to a lot of cool characters. Roger Sterling was one of the coolest characters on the show. The actor plays them amazingly. But there are also these cool endings, like you have Pete's redemption story. Pete, I was never a big fan of Pete, but as his story kept going, at the end, he kind of found redemption. Joan, being the woman who was used by men, now she started to create her own. Peggy, who was scarred at the beginning of the season, finally began to heal in this last season. And Don F. Draper, he created one of the greatest advertisements in history. You know the advertisement, buy a world of Coke? Well, it was Don Draper. That's kind of cool. In the end, Mad Men's an amazing series. I'm sad it's over. It was a great run. Just like the 60s, we have to say bye sooner or later. Something can't go on forever. Walking Dead. So I'm going to give Mad Men, the entire series, a 4.7 out of 5. An amazing series, great characters. Go check it out if you haven't. It's all on Netflix right now. Have you seen Mad Men? What are your thoughts? And who's your favorite character of Mad Men? Comment below, let me know. As always, guys, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button. Subscribe to see more. All too easy.